Hello and welcome to our software tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will go over how to figure the earned income credit. After completing this lesson, you should be able to calculate the earned income credit in the tax software. On the main information sheet, select the EIC checkbox for any dependents, who may qualify the return for the earned income credit. If any qualifying child is over age 19, the Schedule EIC will be highlighted in red on the forms tree. Go to this form and answer the questions regarding that child. The questions are on lines 4A and 4B at the bottom of the schedule. If the child was under age 24 and a student at the end of the tax year, select Yes to question 4A. If the child was older than age 19 and permanently disabled, select Yes to question 4B. Do not answer both of these questions. Leave the one that does not apply blank. Answering both questions will cause an electronic filing error in diagnostics. We will now need to go to Schedule EIC Worksheet by selecting the worksheet from the forms tree. Questions 1 and 6 are calculated based on information entered on the main information sheet. Line 5 is calculated based on the amount of disqualified income from interest, dividends, rent, capital gains, and other types of income that have been entered in the return. Answer questions 2, 4A, and 6 by selecting the appropriate answer to the questions. Be sure to read the question carefully and select the appropriate checkbox. On line 2, select the Yes checkbox if the taxpayer has a Social Security number that allows him or her to work or is valid for EIC purposes. Otherwise, select No. If No is selected here, the tax software will not calculate EIC. Select Yes or No on line 4A to show if the taxpayer was a non-resident alien for any part of the year. If Yes is selected as the answer to this question, the tax software will calculate the answers for line 4B. On line 6, select the Yes checkbox if the taxpayer or spouse could be a qualifying child of another person. Otherwise, select No. If Yes is selected here, the tax software will not calculate EIC. Select Yes or No on lines 7 for each child. Remember that if the child is not married, you should always select Yes. If the answer to this question is No, the tax software will not calculate EIC. Select Yes or No on line 8 to show if the child lived with the taxpayer in the United States for over half the year. If the answer is No, you are finished answering these questions. Select Yes on line 9 if any other person could claim the child for EIC. If the answer is No, you do not have to answer 9B and 9C. If the answer is Yes, you should answer the questions on lines 9B and 9C. Be sure to read these questions carefully and select the appropriate answer. This will help you determine if the taxpayer is eligible to claim the EIC. If the qualifying child has an SSN that allows him or her to work or is valid for EIC purposes, select the Yes checkbox on line 10. If you select No, the tax software will not calculate EIC. If you took EIC on your 2010 income tax return, was the EIC reduced or disallowed for any reason other than a math or clerical error? If you did not take EIC on your 2010 tax return, check No. If the answer is yes, then Form 8862, Information to Claim Earned Income Credit Disallowance, needs to be filed with the tax return as well. Find Form 8862 in the form list and complete the applicable information on this form. Everyone needs to complete Part 1, which requests information about why you are filing this form. Filers with a qualifying child or children must complete Part 2. Filers without qualifying children should also complete Part 3, which asks for information regarding the number of days you and your spouse, if married, lived in the United States during the year. Lines 11 through 17 of the Schedule EIC worksheet calculate based on information entered on the main information sheet. If the answers to these questions determine that the taxpayer is eligible for the earned income credit, the credit will calculate at the bottom of the page. Select Yes on line 13 if the taxpayer's main home was in the United States for more than half of the year. If the answer is No, the tax software will not calculate EIC. It is important to complete the due diligence portion of the EIC worksheet. This will allow you to comply with IRS due diligence requirements, as failure to comply with all due diligence requirements for paid preparers may be enforced with a $500 penalty for each failure to comply. Select Yes on line 18, confirming that Form 8867 has been completed based on information from the taxpayer or information reasonably obtained by you, the preparer. Select Yes on line 19, complying with knowledge of Earned Income Credit rules for determining eligibility for the Earned Income Credit. Select Yes on line 20, confirming that records have been obtained for Form 8867 Earned Income Credit worksheets, record of how, when, and from whom the information was obtained, as well as supporting documentation used to complete forms and worksheets. Next, enter how the information was obtained, when the information was obtained, and from whom the information was obtained. The tax software has a form which helps you determine if the EIC tests are met. This is Form 8867, Paid Preparer's Earned Income Credit Checklist. This form is used as a due diligence worksheet to be sure the preparer asks all of the questions needed to determine EIC eligibility. Keep the forms in your records. Do not mail it to the IRS. Form 8867 is calculated from the questions on the Schedule EIC worksheet and from other information in the tax return. Make sure that all of those questions are answered accurately. If the taxpayer seems to qualify for EIC but does not, go to the Schedule EIC. At the top of this form, select the checkbox If the taxpayer seems to qualify for EIC but does not, check here for No. Be sure that you only select this checkbox if the taxpayer does not qualify for the credit. There are some common reasons for the Earned Income Credit not calculating in the tax software. The taxpayer, spouse, or qualifying child has an ITIN, Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, rather than a Social Security number. If this is the case, the taxpayer cannot claim the Earned Income Credit. Questions on the Schedule EIC worksheet were not answered correctly. Double-check the answers to these questions. The taxpayer's adjusted gross income or earned income is above the limit. Check these amounts and the limits shown on the Schedule EIC worksheet, line 11, 16, and 17. If the taxpayer's income is above the limits, he or she cannot claim the EIC. The checkbox If the taxpayer seems to qualify for EIC but does not, check here for No, is selected on the Schedule EIC. Be sure that this checkbox was not selected in error. In this tutorial, we have gone over how to enter the Earned Income Credit in the tax software. Thank you for viewing this tutorial.